Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeekWave. This is the low budget show. It's the show so low it has no budget. And we're back to talk the 97th Annual Academy Awards. You guys know I'm a big awards junkie. I love just listening to pundits and critics and, anybody in entertainment just talk about awards. I think they matter. I know it's weird to say that, but I think it's interesting to see what people consider to be the best of their craft. I think that's always interesting to know. I like it when a restaurant has awards for this is the best sandwich in this area. This is the best hot dog. This is the best pasta factory or whatever. That's all interesting. Or a dog show. I just like shows where we just say this is the best of the thing we're doing here. It's kind of exciting. I love the Oscars. I say it every year. I'll continue to say it for as long as we talk about the Oscars and as long as I talk about the Oscars. I love when Hollywood just gives itself a dirty hand job, Just pat yourself on the back for all you've accomplished. And arguably, this year has some good movies and some bad movies in it. I don't love a lot of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture this year. I'm not a fan of Emilia Perez. I've really soured on that movie. I think a lot of people have. I think what really tipped it off for me is when I actually started to think about the music, and I'm oh, this sucks. I'm not a fan of Wicked. I did not like that Wicked movie. I'm satisfied if the categories it won in. I'm glad it didn't win anything else. I struggle a lot with Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. Those are movies that just, they don't get me where I want to be in a satisfactory way. But I don't hate them either. I can appreciate Dune more than I appreciate some of these other ones. And A Complete Unknown is a movie that I understand what it's doing here, and I think it's a lot like the Robbie Williams Better Man movie, where the tropes that it's playing with are elevated based on the material we're using here, but it still feels so obvious and non-expressive in the genre it's playing in. But because it's fueling itself, it's a little bit a cut above the rest. But I don't know. I liked the other ones, I guess. Nickel Boys, I wish got more love. I think Nickel Boys and A Complete Unknown are the only Best Picture nominees to walk away with 0 awards this year. Which sucks, because Nickel Boys is a fantastic movie. And if you asked me prior to the show who I had Best Actor, look, Coleman Domingo's my pick. I think that performance is fantastic. But for this show, I think I would have went with Timothy. I would have hedged money on Timothy. I don't. We'll see. Look, a very interesting show this time around. I think this is a different looking Academy. I would say since COVID, after we got rid of Nomadland and Coda, we've been seeing a huge shift in Academy voters for what wins Best Picture, what is nominated for Best Picture, the things that are people wanting to talk about. It's very interesting to see that. And I think this is very emblematic of just the changing times in Hollywood, A movie that cost $6 million can win Best Picture and nobody's really seen it on a large scale. It's very interesting. I always judge what is the best picture and what's the favorite picture and what is the populist picture. I mean, it's obvious that Wicked and Dune, beloved by everyone out there, they're not Best Picture winners in my opinion. In fact, I kind of want to talk about Dune later, because I was listening to some other pundits and all that stuff, and I think there's a thing that could be made that maybe if we get that third Dune movie, that's where we nominate it and get it all the awards. I think that's where we could be headed. You could also make that path for Avatar, Fire and Ash. If that's what the 98th Academy Awards looks like, could we give that one Best Picture? Could we give, I don't know, Sam Worthington a nomination in that category? We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But for right now, I think we're just going to talk about the award show that was. It happened yesterday at the time that this video will be coming out. And they scheduled a little bit longer of a time. They did 3.5 hours. It did go over. And, I mean, I think because there was some, last-minute snafus that they had to fix, you could definitely feel the strings being pulled. For instance, Carla Sofia Gasson was in attendance, so Clearly, Emma Stone, who was like brought out to do like here are the nominees, she didn't want to talk about her. So for supporting actor and supporting actress, we had last year's winners come out to like say words about the nominees this year. But when it came to actor and actress in a leading role, we just showed clips. Which I'm like, you should have just showed clips the whole time. It should always be clips. It should always be clips. We need to see them acting. That's what they're nominated for. I do think they handled like the Fab Five, where 5 people come out to talk about the nominees well in other categories like costume and set and cinematography. That was better. Like, that was way better handled. Way better for like that than the actor stuff. Because again, who do you get out to talk about Cara Sofia Gasson? And if you keep doing that, you're going to run out of people to come up and talk about it. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. Truthfully, it's such a weird show. I think it was better than it has been in years, but also the hiccups and the snafus, they are so more like obvious and glaring than previous ones. So we'll briefly talk about like the actual ceremony itself. Then we'll get into like the nominees. I think we're just going to do like a straight talking about the conversation. We're not going to do like any news of the week or anything like that. We'll do a big news episode next week. But we're going to talk about the Academy Awards. I think, for the most part, it's very weird to say this because I'm on all like, the Reddits, and I look at all the, social media posts from stuff. I follow like the pundits and the people talking about this stuff. I just think the vibe this year has been different than previous years. I even think different than last year. I think last year really benefited from Barbenheimer, both being a smash hit and getting the Best Picture nominations. I don't know. I don't know if there was like a clear one of those this year. I guess Wicked and Dune, but it's really not the same thing. They're very different feeling movies. And I think you just don't have like fan favorite like nominees in a lot of these categories, except for maybe Timothy and Ariana. And I don't like, Denis didn't get the directing nom, so I think that's different. I know people like Sean Baker. I don't know if he's like, a favorite of like the culture at large. I don't think he is. So that kind of puts it off. And I definitely think Emilia Perez soured a lot of people on everything going on here. It's very, very complex in that category. A way I gauge a lot of stuff, and I hate it because I really hate like what that industry in itself has become, but I always listen to like what radio hosts say because for like my actual day job, it requires me to listen to the radio a lot. And when they talk about the Oscars, it's just like a bunch of old men who have never seen any of the movies and say, who cares about this stuff? And I'm like, that annoys me so much because in the city that we live in, Sirs on the radio, all of these movies were playing in cinemas for over a week. You could have went to see them. And I just find it very annoying that it's just like, well, of course you don't care, so you assume that nobody else cares. I hate that mentality. It's like when people say, oh, who cares about the Super Bowl? Well, literally millions of people across the country and North America care about the Super Bowl. Same with the World Cup. Just because you don't watch sports doesn't mean they're irrelevant. Just because you don't watch award shows doesn't mean they're irrelevant. But I just think, looking at the Best Picture nominees this year, and I like all these films fine, except for a couple of them that I don't enjoy. Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, Wicked. They're not, like, for everyone. It's not like, oh man, we nominated Top Gun Maverick. We got, like, the clear frontrunner in here. There's no clear frontrunner in this category. It's very weird. But whatever. I think it's fine. Conan O'Brien was also hosting for the first time, and I think he did a very good job. I'm not against Kimmel. I've never been against Kimmel. I think Kimmel he plays it safe, and he's kind of just like, well, I don't know. Let's just talk about like how weird stuff is. He's not like as like self-loathing or self-effacing as somebody like Conan. Conan knows how to play to a crowd. Kimmel does too, of course, but Conan is like, I'm in Hollywood. Let's celebrate the movies. We're going to do literally like record a footage of me doing a substance bit, which I'm like, yep, that's funny. That's a good idea. How long has it been since we've seen that happen? And he's like, let's talk about movies. Isn't it great that cinemas exist and we should support theaters? He talks about that. He's like, these movies are good. He never talks down like the expense of the movie for a joke. And I think that's a very important thing. He talks about the experience of the movie or how to enjoy the movie or anything like that. It's never making fun of the film for existing. I think that's very important. And one of the things we lose a lot in like modern stuff is like nobody knows how to make a joke about Hollywood or movies without like talking down to the like thing it's making fun of. Really good bit about Carla. I thought that played really well. You could tell it was like, oh, is he going there? He is. And that's the other thing about Conan too. He knows how to just like, hey, I said it, look at me. Doing just like a, hey, shrug on my shoulders, like, them's the jokes, folks. That's what you're here for. Really good at making fun of himself. Really good at just like reading a crowd like, did that one not land? Ooh, I don't know. Like, I said it though. Hey, I said it, you know? He's really good at that. He is very good at that type of energy. And I think that worked really well. Some really good jokes. I liked the bit with like the LA firefighters. I thought that was really impressive. I liked his bit where he like did Spanish, Indian, and was it Japanese? Where he's talking like, hey, I'm in debt. Put me in your movies. I thought that was funny. Good stuff. Nick Offerman was also the narrator who did like all the voiceover stuff, which I'm like, oh man, interesting choice. I didn't see a lot of people talking about that. But I'm like, that is a fascinating choice. He has the voice for it. He looks really cool. We cut away to him to one time, and I'm like, oh my god, you just grow a beard in 10 days, can't you? Fantastic. And then I don't think there was any like presenters that stuck out as bad or good. Just people who had to show up. It didn't feel as like star-studded, I guess. But you know what? People are busy. I don't know. It's like the awards aren't as special as they used to be, so I can't get mad at it for that. It still means something, though. I know people might think it doesn't, but it still means something. Especially to the industry itself. I think it means something to the industry itself. And the people who complain that it's meaningless are the people who don't watch every movie that comes out, so your opinion doesn't matter, you know? If you are somebody who is in the know, or you talk about film in any capacity, like I do, this stuff matters, and it's important and interesting and worth exploring. So, Conan was great. There's a couple of bits that I don't care for. I didn't like any of the musical acts that they did. I completely understand why you want to open with Ariana and Cynthia doing their songs from Wizard of Oz and The Wiz and Wicked. Whatever. I get it. It's not for me. I think it's a shameless grab to get the younger audience to be like, hey, we got your stars. And then there's Queen Latifah does a number about like The Wiz. And I'm like, I know we're celebrating Quincy Jones right now, but did we really get rid of like the nominations for singers performing to do this? It's very weird. I don't really like that. And then for some reason, I guess because Amazon just got the license, we have a whole segment that's like a tribute to 007, which was very weird. Conan made a joke about it, and they talked about like Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson. So I guess that's like, hey, we're here. We're having fun, right? I guess that's what that was. I don't know. It's very strange, very strange. And then they had like a whole like number where for like almost 10 minutes, we started with Lisa, who's from Blackpink. She sang Live and Let Die, and then we went to Doja Cat doing Diamonds Are Forever, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And then we did Skyfall, and you think, oh, is Adele going to come out? No, it's Ray. I don't know who that is. I know Lisa. I know Doja Cat. I like Lisa more because she's doing fine in The White Lotus, you know? She's doing okay. But why didn't we get Adele? Very weird. And for no reason. It's not like a James Bond movie came out this year. It very much felt like this is the last thing you're going to see from this franchise, isn't it? That's going to be worth your while, and everything's dead. Goodbye. A lot of like anti-streaming stuff too. A lot of talk about theaters being good. At the same time, Sean Baker was giving a speech about watching a movie in theaters. The broadcast cut out on Hulu, which is just like a perfect example of what he's talking about. Also, very weird choice of music for the In Memoriam segment. I think they left out a lot of people in the In Memoriam segment. Gene Hackman got a lot of play, a fantastic actor who I'm sure we're going to be talking about on this channel again. Left out like Tony Todd, Michelle Trachtenberg. It's like really specific choices you did not put in there. And the music was very ominous, very foreboding, very operatic. I'm like, this should be quieter. I don't like that it's loud. I also find it very weird that when David Lynch's name came up and they showed the photo of him, we heard Kyle MacLachlan talking, like he was the one who was talking in that clip. Why not have a scene from Twin Peaks where it was David Lynch? He was in The Fabelmans, for Christ's sake. You can literally put that clip in there too. You can find clips of David Lynch talking in a movie, man. That was really annoying. But Morgan Freeman coming out to talk about Gene Hackman, I thought that worked really well. Made me smile, made me laugh. Overall, I think this was a very positive ceremony. It was about the movies. It was people celebrating the movies. Conan clearly loved the movies. I think he saw them all. I really do. And I think that says more than some of the voters. Not that I'm disappointed at any of the wins, because I don't think I am. Except maybe original song. But again, I couldn't tell you what wins original song. I don't have like a front runner in that category. We'll talk about like key things that happen in each speeches as we get to them. But over the past couple of years, I think this is one of the better ones. There's some like fine tuning we can do. Do clips for everybody. Do Fab Five for all of like the technical awards. I think that's fantastic. And then it should be really fun. Should be really cool to see what happens there. All right, should we get into the nominees and the winners? Let's do it. Let's talk about it. I'm going off the a list that the Academy has on their website, the Oscars.org. So it's not in order of the broadcast, just in order of what we saw on the show. That's the same thing. Why did I say that? I was answering a text when that happened. So, okay, from the Academy's website, Oscars.org. Our first category is actor in a leading role. This was a very interesting category. Like the last four categories of the night, I think as the show went on, you could kind of predict who was going to win. But surprisingly to me, I guess, it went to Adrian Brody in The Brutalist. And people are saying at the time of this recording that he gave the longest speech in Oscar history. I like Adrian Brody's work in The Brutalist. That movie might almost fall apart without him. Like, he is phenomenal in that film. He carries it on his shoulders. I think this entire campaign has been him saying, like, this is my redemption. I needed this to come back to, like, really appreciate what this art is and what I can do in this entire category. So I'm very happy for him in that aspect of the word. The speech was the most self-indulgent of the night, which kind of was like a bummer because you have all these people being really nice and sweet, and he just kind of was like, I learned a lot, love and hate and stuff, and I'm going to do good. He told everyone to stop playing the music. I guess it's more curious to see where his career is going to go after this win. I'm happy with it. It is a very strong performance that is very terrifying, and I'm glad he won. It's a deserving win. I'm not mad. Timothy was my, almost like, oh, that's a sure lock. But my winner's Coleman, of course. But Adrian, I cannot be mad at that. I can't be mad at that. It works. Same with actor in a supporting role. I think of this list, Kieran Culkin is my least favorite performance. I just think that movie would be a little more interesting if you saw Jesse Eisenberg playing that role and you're just kind of like seeing a different side of it. But I understand how you get to there. I do. I really understand how you get to there. Kieran's speech was very interesting, just talking about like how his wife promised him another kid if he ever won an Oscar. Well, here we are. Very publicly saying we're going to fuck later. It's okay. I like it. A great category too, very strong. Having seen all these movies now, there is not a bad performance in the bunch. They're all very interesting. I do like that. I do like it a lot. So Kieran, he won everything. That was bound to happen. The surprising one, actress in a leading role, went to Mikey Madison. Again, I would have predicted Demi Moore. I think just like the current state of the Oscars, kind of like seeing like the Brendan Fraser era, is like we're gonna like give the redemption arcs. Like we're gonna give it to the people that are deserving, who have been mistreated and stuff. I would have went with Demi. Would have been a very interesting win if that won, but the nomination honestly means a lot. but also the Oscars like an up-and-coming lady doing great work. And, we talked about Clute very recently on the channel, and that's Jane Fonda winning for a performance very similar to what Mikey Madison is doing here. It's incredible. Like, this is a young, talented girl, and I'm just super excited to see where her career is going to go from here. This is a deserving win. I nominated her on my list. I think it's fantastic. I was really hoping it would be Demi Moore. My 3 favorite dresses and fits of the night. Demi Moore, gorgeous. Fernanda Torres, I love that look. But Coleman fucking Domingo, oh my god, absolutely spectacular. He was gorgeous. But Demi looked beautiful, and Mikey Madison, she looked incredibly beautiful as well. I'm very happy with that. It's very interesting. I think it's very interesting, seeing this Academy picking a Nora. I think it kind of invokes a 70s change of the guard almost. I think that's kind of what we're seeing here in the 2020s. Actress in a supporting role went to Zoe Saldana, Vermilia Perez. Not what I would have picked, but like I said of Adrian Brody, if she's not in this whole thing falls apart. She is the reason that movie works at all. And a very, very earned win. I just don't know if that movie is worthy of everything it's been getting. It's weird. I would have liked any other one of these nominees to win as well, but I can't be mad at Zoe for that win. It works. Animated feature film went to Flow. It's one of the best movies ever, and it was made on Blender, which is a software you could just buy. Or is it free? Which one is it? It's if you had the technology now and the time, you could make this type of movie. And it's so crazy that this low budgeted film with this type of production behind it beat out some of the big nominees from Disney and DreamWorks and stuff. That's so cool. Animated short film went to In the Shadow of the Cypress, a film I'm not too familiar with, but I saw a lot of people being that's a good one. So cool. And the shorts are always going to be tough because you never really know where audiences are going to lie on that. That's a very cool win. I liked the 2 of them sharing a phone for their speech. That was really cute. That was really fun. Cinematography went to Lowell Crawley for The Brutalist. I'm oh, yes. That is a win. That is a win I really, really love. Look, Greg Fraser, he's going to win again. Just know it. Ed Lockman, he won one of the awards for Maria. I love the cinematography in Maria. That movie's gorgeous. I cannot be mad at Lowell Crawley for winning this award. That is astonishingly beautiful. With what you are asked to do with the limitations of your budget and your locations of filming, nothing looks like that. It takes this scrappy little film into something completely huge and bombastic, and I think that is so worthy of your time. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Costume design, it went to Wicked for Paul Tazwell. I think Paul did a fantastic job, making that movie look what it is. The most tactical thing of that movie, in my opinion, is the costuming. So I can't be mad at this for winning. I personally would not have given it to Wicked. I would have went with Nosferatu or Conclave. But it's Hollywood. They like musical stuff. So Wicked's got to get something. Wicked was not going home empty-handed. It just wasn't. And if this is the first black man to win the costume design award, I think it's worthy. The Wicked Witch stuff looks great. That looks really good. I think a lot of that though comes down to the hair and makeup as well, which I know it didn't win. But the costumes are good. They're really stylish. They're really interesting. It is a good looking movie. In terms of the costumes, I think the cinematography is bad, and I think the lighting is bad, and I think the visual effects are cheap and not the greatest. But people like it, I guess. I don't know why. Now, here's another surprising win. Directing, we have Anora's Sean Baker. Now, I'm not going to be the first person to say this. You're going to hear it all over the place. Sean Baker has become the first person in history of the Academy to win 4 Oscars in one night for one film. Now, Walt Disney in 1953, he won 4 Oscars in one night, but it was for 4 different films. So this is something very special. And I think Sean Baker did a really good job of just like explaining himself, why he loves independent film, why he loves movies, why he loves theatrical movies. And it's very important that this type of movie wins directing. But this was a stacked category, except for maybe Jacques Audiard, or whatever his name is. You replace that with Denis Villeneuve, you have one of the best categories for this entire thing ever. Brady Corbet, James Mangold, Coralie Farge, and Sean Baker. And then you put Denis in there. Ooh, that's tough. That's good. But Sean, that is a very impressive win. I'm so glad he won. I love Anora. I was half expecting Anora to win nothing, because that seemed the trajectory for a while. But it won 5 out of the 6 things it was nominated for. The only thing it lost was Yura Borisov lost to Kieran Culkin, which you got to admit. What's the better performance? I don't know. It's up to you. Documentary feature film went to No Other Land. Thank God. That was very interesting. The producers and directors of that came out and gave one of the most important speeches of the night. Just go watch the clip. Me talking about it is not going to do it justice. I wish I had a chance to see this movie. I hope now that it's an Oscar-winning film, it will find distribution. It was only playing one night in my city. I did not have the chance to make it. I really want to see it, though. Somebody put it out there. I think it's really interesting. I'm going to butcher what they said, but part of the line was like, a land you have to kill for is not yours, but a land you die for is yours. And I am getting shivers just thinking about that. I think this is very surprising. You could easily have seen it going to like Black Box Diaries or Porcelain War. I'm so happy for these guys. I think this is going to get a lot of eyes on like their cause, what they were fighting for, and that's really exciting. It's really exciting. A really good movie. Weird, engagement in the audience, but that happens. Documentary short film, The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Don't know too much about this one, but good for you. That's a really cool win in this category. I'm always confused by like what's going to win, but I'm happy, Molly O'Brien and Lisa Remington got it. Film editing, another win for Sean Baker. He edited his own film, which I think once you saw this earlier in the broadcast where you're like, oh, okay, so we won editing? You're like, oh yeah, Sean Baker's got this in the bag. He's taking it all. And he did. So really good, another stacked category. But that film really hinges on like going from scene to scene, and I think he handles each scene really well. So that's really cool. And international feature film, this one, again, was still kind of up in arms. It could have gone a couple of different ways. Mainly people think this is where you would give credence to Emilia Perez, which I think a lot of people months ago would have said, oh, it's Emilia. Flow also won a couple of the Best International Film Awards, so you have 2 contenders there. But the surprise pull-off of the night is Brazil, I'm Still Here, which I'm like, yep, that's it. I saw that clip going around of like the streets of Brazil celebrating this win. That's awesome. I think this is a very important film. It's very, very well made. It looks really good. Fernando Torres did an incredible job. If you have a chance to see it, it is worthy of your time and worthy of exploration. One of those things where it's like a moment in history you cannot explain why the things happened the way they did, and it just makes no sense, but that's just what happened. That's just history. And you're like, what the fuck? That's crazy. An incredible film. Glad it won that. I'm glad it did over Emilia Perez. I don't need to hear it anymore. Well, look, we're going to get to the weirdest speech of the night. Just hang on. Makeup and hairstyling did go to the substance. I was worried it wouldn't, but man, very worthy win. If that's the only award the substance gets, that is probably its most deserving win next to Demi Moore, honestly. Really cool. So, original score went to Daniel Bloomberg for The Brutalist. And we're going to do these two next to each other because I think it's very interesting because we started with original song and then we went to original score. So, original song went to El Mal, which was from Emilia Perez, from Clément Ducol and Camille. And This was the most funny speech of the night because Camille was trying to get the audience to like sing the classic line from El Mal about Amelia Perez. You know, the classic lyrics from Amelia Perez and El Mal. And she tried to lead like a sing along, and nobody in the audience knew what the fuck was happening. Because no, you don't. And then the music started to play her off, but she kept singing. She kept singing over the music playing her off. And I'm like, this is weird, and I don't like it. Then immediately following that, original score, Daniel Bloomberg gets up there, a really shy, nerdy guy, and he gets played off. He just like sings to the tune, like, don't worry about me, it's fine. I think it's just a really good counterpoint to the arrogance that we've been seeing from Amelia Perez's team and just the Brutalist guys being like, I don't know. I think that's really funny. Best Picture went to Anora, a very good win. I don't feel like we need to talk too much about it. It's the best film of the year. Arguably the best film of the year. Gorgeous and interesting. Worth your time. A really cool exploration of, you know, what does it mean to be like in a class system, a sex worker. A lot of speeches from the Anora team dedicated to sex workers, which I think is just very powerful. Both Sean Baker and Mikey Madison talking about it. I love that. I really love that. Great movie. Production design went to Wicked, which is not surprising. I think it is the worst production design of all these nominees, but whatever. Live action short film went to I'm Not a Robot. Have I seen this one? I can't remember. Oh yeah, I have seen this one. This is good. This is a good one. I like it. Okay. Best sound went to Dune Part 2, which is like the 2 wins for Dune Part 2 because it wins sound and it wins visual effects. I think we're going to see some repeats of this when Dune Messiah happens. I would not be surprised if it got more after that, but very cool wins nonetheless. I really like that. Sound is always an interesting category. Some people were saying like a complete unknown could have maybe got in there. That would have been interesting. I don't think that would ever happen realistically, though. And visual effects, I think I would have gone with Better Man, like that won my award. But if that's the only nomination it gets, that's fine. Dune Part 2 is very worthy of that win as well. And our final awards of the nights are some of my favorite, the ones I like looking at because I think they're interesting. Writing for adapted screenplay, that went to Peter Strawn for Conclave, which I can't deny it. I like a lot of these scripts. I like the Nickel Boys script a lot. I like the Sing Sing script a lot. I can't deny that Conclave script like puts forward something very interesting in that movie. That's the only win Conclave gets. It got nominated in a bunch of other categories. I can't hate it. I think it did really good. Very strong script. And best script for original screenplay, a very stacked category. It did go to Sean Baker for Anora. Part of me was wondering if we would ever give something to Brady Corbet. Look, I don't think this is the last time we're going to see Brady Corbet here. I think he's going to be back again. He's kind of like one of our... I'm trying to think of like a director of like his caliber from a previous generation. I'm not sure I can think of one, but he's somebody we're going to see here again. But this category was stacked. Like you got Carly Farge in there, you got Jesse Eisenberg, and you got Brady Corbet, you got Moritz Binder. Of course, it went to Sean Baker because he was sweeping. He got all 4 noms. I can't hate it. I think that script is great. That actually won my personal award show for best script. I can't be mad at it. I can't. Like, I think this is a very good win. I don't hate any of these wins except for maybe El Mal, but when you look at the El Mal category, it's like, who is the better song? I guess if I had to pick one from here, it would be the song from Sing Sing. But maybe we should have just given it to Diane Warren and we could just move on from that chapter of our lives. Maybe. Nonetheless, I think this was a pretty good show. Couple of hiccups here or there. If we cut one of the songs, we would have been on time. And Conan did fantastic. I'm very excited to see like what next award season's going to bring. Are they going to bring Conan back next season as well? Next award season, I should say, for the Academy Awards. We are going to be introducing the casting director category, which I think is very interesting. I wonder like who would have won this award? Who would have won that award this year? I think you could easily have nominees for Honora, A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist. Who else could we say here? I would say Amelia Perez would probably get that. And the fifth one, I'm going to say Nosferatu. I think those would have been the ones I would have went with. But we'll see what happens. It could be really fun. All right, folks. Thank you all for listening to our conversation on the 97th Annual Academy Awards. Are we going to do something big for the 100th, I wonder? It's going to be interesting. Who do you think is going to be nominated for the 100th Academy Awards? Very exciting stuff. But until then, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, please give us a rating over there. It helps out a lot. Be sure to like us to the channel. I just said that. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck, and keep voting.